Image essential. Image essentials. Image essentials. What about image essentials? About bitmap images. Bitmap images, technically called raster images, and use a rectangular grid of picture elements, pixels, or to represent images, and each pixel, by the way, is assigned a specific location and color value. And when working with bitmap images, you edit pixels rather than objects or shapes. And bitmap images are the most common electronic medium for continuous tone images, such as photographers or digital paintings, and because they can more efficiently represent subtle gradations of shades and color. And bitmap images, by the way, are resolution dependent. That is, they contain a fixed number of pixels, and as a result they can lose detail and appear jagged if they are scaled to high magnifications on screen, or if they are printed at a lower resolution than they were created for, like this screenshot now. Look at this picture now. Example of a bitmap image at different levels of magnification. And bitmap images, by the way, sometimes require large amounts of storage space and often need to be compressed to keep file sizes down, and when used in certain Creative Suite components. For instance, you compress an image file in its original application before you import it into a layout. Note and be careful. In Adobe Illustrator, you can create bitmap effects in your artwork using effects and graphic styles. What about vector graphics? Vector graphics is meaning, sometimes called vector shapes or vector objects, and are made up of lines and curves defined by mathematical objects called vectors, and which describe an image according to its geometric characteristics, and you can freely move or modify vector graphics without losing detail or clarity. Because they are resolution independent, they maintain crisp edges when resized and printed to a PostScript printer, and saved in PDF file or imported into a vector-based graphic application. And as a result, vector graphics are the best choice for artwork, such as logos that will be used at various sizes and in various output media. And the vector objects you create using the drawing and shapes and shape tools in Adobe Creative Suite are examples of vector graphics, by the way, and you can use the copy and paste commands to duplicate vectors graphics between Creative Suite components. So what about combining vector graphics and bitmap images? Combining vector graphics and bitmap images. When combining vector graphics and bitmap images in a document, it's important, by the way, to remember that how your artwork looks on a screen isn't always how it will look in its final medium, and whether commercially printed on a desktop printer or viewed on the web. And the following factors influence the quality of your final artwork. What about transparency? Transparency is meaning many effects add partly transparent pixels to your artwork, and when your artwork contains transparency, Photoshop, by the way, performs a process called flattening before printing or exporting, and in most cases the default flattening process produces excellent results. However, if your artwork, by the way, contains complex overlapping areas and you require high resolution output, you will probably want to preview the effects of flattening. What about image resolution? Image resolution is meaning the number of pixels per inch ppi in a bitmap image using too low a resolution for a printed image results in pixelation, and output with large coarse looking pixels and using too high a resolution pixels smaller than what the output device can produce, and increases the file size without increasing the quality of the printed output and slows the printing of the artwork. So what about printer resolution and screen frequency? Printer resolution and screen frequency is meaning the number of link dots produced per inch dpi and the number of lines per inch IPI, and in a half-tone screen the relationship between image resolution and print resolution and the screen frequency determines the quality of detail in the printed image. So what about color channels? Color channels is meaning every Photoshop images has one or more channels, and each is storing information about color elements in the image, and the number of default color channels in an image depends on its color mood, and by default images in bitmap and grayscale and duotone and indexed color mode have one channel RGB, and lab images have 3, and CMYK images have 4. And you can add channels, by the way, to all image types except bitmap mode images, and for more information see color mode. And the channels in color images are actually grayscale images that represent each of the color components of an image. And for example, an RGB image has separate channels for red and green and blues color values. And in addition to color channels, alpha channels can be added to an image for storing and editing selections as masks. And spot color channels can be added to add spot color plats for printing, and for more information see channels basic. So what about bit depths? Bit depths is meaning specifies how much color information is available for each pixel in an image, and the more bits of information per pixel, and the more available colors and more accurate color representation. For example, an image with a bit depth of 1 has pixels with 2 possible values, black and white. An image, by the way, with a bit depth of 8 has 2 or 256 possible values, and grayscale mode images with a bit depth of 8 have 256 possible gray values. And RGB images are mode of 3 color channels, by the way, and an 8-bit per pixel RGB image has 256 possible values for each channel, which means that it has over 16 million possible color values. And RGB image with 8 bytes per channel BBC are sometimes called 24-byte images, and 8 bytes x3 channels equal 24 bytes of data for each pixel. And in addition to 8 BBC images, Photoshop can also work with images that contain 16 BBC or 32 BBC, and images with 32 BBC are also known as high dynamic range HDR images. And Photoshop support for 16-byte images, by the way, and Photoshop provides the following support for working with 16 BBC images anyway. And working in grayscale, RGB, color, SMYK, color, lab color, and multi-channel modes, and all tools, by the way, in the toolbox. Except the art history brush tool can be used with 16 BBC images, and the color and tonal adjustment commands are available. And you can work with layers and including adjustment layers in 16 BBC images. And many Photoshop filters can be used with 16 BBC images. And to take advantage of certain Photoshop features, such as some filters, you can convert a 16 BBC image to an 8 BBC image, and it's best if you do a save as and convert a copy of the image file so the original file retains the full 16 image data. and convert between. How to convert between byte deeps? How to convert between byte deeps? You should do is the following. To convert between 8 BBC and 16, choose image, then mode, then 16 bytes, then a channel or 8 bytes channel. And to convert from 8 or 16 bytes or 32, choose image, mode, then and then 32 bytes channel.